last few weeks, the pop music scene and fashion scene have been influenced by a new youth cult.
Punk was all about rebellion, and new romantics are all about style.
It's a bunch of bums that look weird walking down the street, but there's actually another side to it.
The whole idea is complete change. You have to be a little more daring in order to shock. The punkers say it's just a new way of expressing themselves.
Simply an alternate reality.
From Madonna's first singles to the addictive Rubik's Cube trend and to the globalization of the internet, the 80s sure seemed like a lot of fun.
Well, I couldn't agree more, but however, it also felt like people spent a lot of money. And that's so weird because after all, the 80s was the time of an economic boom. Suddenly, many more could afford to buy more things.
Is that a bad thing though? I mean, I'm not the one to shy away from a creative outfit every other day.
Well, that's what we're here to find out. Welcome at our third episode of Time Trippin. In the show that we strive to find out if there's common ground between a topic from students from another decade and from this one. My name is Evke.
And I'm Mario, and after taking a time trip back to the 60s in episode 1, to the 70s to explore the topic of feminism and nudity in episode 2, today's time trip will take us back to the 80s to explore materialism and also take a look at minimalism, the trend of today, and how it counteracts it.
And we have invited two guests who will give their view on this subject matter. And the confession couch, I will meet Denzil, and he's also known as Rapper Skinny.
And at our pop pal, I will meet Helen, who is the chief editor of Genook. And afterwards, we'll bring both guests together at this very dinner table to see if they can find common ground.
Well, however, I'm really curious how the audience actually thinks about this subject. So we want to ask a question to the audience. Do you think that this generation is materialistic? Well, they all have a pedal under their chair. One side is green and the other one is purple. And the green side is for yes, we think this generation is materialistic, and the purple side is for no. So let's count down. 3, 2, 1. Well, that's actually... It's a lot of green, don't you think? Well, I'm going to in the audience to find out. Well, oh, you're actually purple. You don't think it's materialistic?
I don't think so. I think people don't care that much about a lot of expensive things. At least I don't care that much about brands, expensive things, and lots of jewelry.
And if you have to spend money on something, what is then the thing you spend money on most?
Food,
Food?
I think.
And which food do you like the most?
Pizza, Italian food.
Oh, I could totally agree with it. You have watched episode 1, I think. Well, Mario, what do you actually think about this topic? Are you materialistic?
To tell you the truth, if I take a look at my wardrobe, I do have a bit more jackets and accessories than I actually need.
Oh boy, but isn't less more?
Well, only one way to find out.
Yeah, okay. Well, let's first dive deep in with the facts and stats about materialism. And to find out if having and needing so much things actually do to matter, let's have a look.
Materialism. Explained. Materialism is a mindset with the tendency to place greater emphasis on possessions like jewelry, cars, and clothing. We all have a materialistic side, as we spend our money on physical things that supposedly makes us happy. Did you know that? The average household has 300,000 items. In the last few decades, the average home has nearly tripled in size. Purchasing goods does contribute to our short-term happiness, but this peak of blissfulness is only for a short period. A negative feeling created by being unsatisfied and guilt follows. This feeling makes us go out again to gain that happy feeling. Thus, we end up buying new stuff and so on, creating an infinite loop with serious consequences. So either you can be obsessed with money and possessions or be good and focus on more important matters of the spirit. But most of us are stuck somewhere between those two choices. Goods not only have a physical function, but also transfer psychological positive meaning and value to us, thus strengthening your personal development.
Well, to see what materialism actually is for the youth nowadays, we have invited Denzil to our confession couch. Welcome. You're also known as Rapper Skinny.
Yes.
And could you smile for me? Yeah, I'm missing something today.
Yeah, normally I have grills, but I lost them like a couple of months ago. But I had ordered new ones, and they finished today, so when I'm done here, I'm gonna grab my grills immediately.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So when do you actually wear your grill?
When I got a video shoot, photo shoots, or when I go out. I got a friend of mine who's sitting behind me. He got his grills in. So like, we just like to express ourselves with like jewelry and grills and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's really cool. And before you bought the grill, how long were you already thinking about doing it?
A long time, because like when I was younger, I don't know if people know Nelly. He had a song called Grills, and that went super viral, and I was super young watching TV, and I was like, yo, I wanted that. So when I was younger, I used to grab aluminum foil, put it on my teeth, go to school, and that was super bad for my teeth, so I stopped immediately. But like when I had the money, I bought me a grill real fast.
So is Nelly also one of your heroes?
Not really my heroes, but like he had a good song, let me just say that.
Okay, and who are other rappers from nowadays who really are an inspiration to you?
Like the new generation, like you got Lil Uzi Vert, you got like people from Holland like Ronnie Flex, you got Jill Silvio, you got Idali, Cho, like anybody that makes good music can inspire me.
And what I also see is on Instagram, for example, Ronnie Flex, he posts a lot with designer clothing, expensive jewelry. Do you feel that there's a certain pressure to dress like this, to belong to this culture?
A little bit. It's like the way you set up. Like if you're younger, like 15, 16, and you're watching like Ronnie Flex and all these artists on Instagram flexing. With flexing, I mean like stunning with the things they got.
Yeah.
It's like brainwashing kids, because kids look up to these kind of people. So if they see the kind of people rocking Louis Vuitton, Gucci, Prada, they think like, yo, I need to have these clothing, otherwise I'm not popping or I'm not doing it well. So it's a little bit, I don't know.
And how important is it actually for you to buy into this certain lifestyle?
For me, like when I was younger, I was like thinking about it to do it, but then I had like a rough period in my time that I had no money. I couldn't even buy food. So then I realized like, yo, those Gucci, Prada and stuff like that, it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't gonna make you happy. It doesn't gonna bring you where you wanna go in life. And then I just saw like, yo, like you can get something from the H&M or something from the Primark and still look fly. You just have to know how to dress yourself. That's
so
important.
maybe in some way you've also experienced a minimalist lifestyle.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, that's very interesting. And to see and get to know more about materialism, we have interviewed Marloes. She also did a TED Talk about materialism, and she will explain us why people actually always want more.
Well, there are 3 reasons for us to keep wanting more. And the first is a biological one. It's from the time that we were hunters and gatherers, and it's pretty much in our brain. We keep on buying, and one of the reasons that's happening, and I think that's the second reason for us to want more, is advertisement. And the thing is, when you buy it, you're only happy with it for a very short amount of time. And that's because of the third thing I like to point out, and it's trends. You walk out the store and the next day or the next week, it's already out of trend. And then your urge for more, the trigger I told you about, comes back. So I would encourage everyone to be very critical on what you're actually doing and how much value that is adding for you in your life.
So Marloes is talking about fast fashion as being a trigger for materialism. How often do you change your wardrobe?
A lot. Like sometimes 2 or 3 times a day. Like if I have something to do, I like to be nice and look like, I would say, professional. And if you're a rapper, that's one of the things you have to be thinking about, like how you're gonna sell yourself to the audience. You have to have something that is unique that people want to see on TV or in your music video. If you just look like the normal guy in the supermarket, you're not gonna look at his videos because he's too normal. You gotta have something like, okay, I want to watch him.
So actually it's maybe like a cop wearing his suit to the office. This is your suit actually you wear. And also I saw on your Instagram you wear a lot of yellow. Is that then a part of your branding?
Yeah, I call myself the Yellow Ranger because like just one day I just woke up and I realized like since I was young I used to love the color yellow, but it wasn't like a manly color, so I just pushed it away. But then one time I realized, no, like this is me, like I have to embrace this. So I embraced it, I got it on my shoes, I got Yellow Ranger here.
Cool.
And I'm just like going all the way with it now right now.
Yeah, that's really nice. And so actually you already noticed that there's a lot of because social media is actually also a very big trigger of the materialism,
True.
influencing. What you also said on Instagram, you see it a lot. Is it also something that influences you still?
Yeah, sometimes I think a week ago, I was just scrolling through Instagram and I saw this new jeans they were selling via my sponsors, and I bought it just real quick. I don't know why. I just saw it. I was like, yo, it looks nice. I just bought it. So yeah, Instagram is definitely one of the biggest things that make people materialistic, because it's only like pictures. You don't have quotes like Twitter and other stuff like that. It's like pictures. So what you see is what you get on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And could you also say, because you also wear clothes from your friends,
Yeah,
the designers,
True.
So you're also kind of influencer yourself.
Yeah, I don't used to call myself influencers, but it's like I got friends that make dope clothes. Like, I'm really happy. We got Teams Up, we got Panyo Glen, we got Strange Society, and like these kind of people, they really put their heart and soul in their clothing. And people like Ronnie Flex, Busy, and all the kinds of artists are wearing these clothes, and it makes me so proud to see somebody from my city doing this kind of thing. So I just want to support them.
So that's cool. So when is enough actually then enough for you as a rapper?
I was talking to my friend yesterday, and we both want a walk-in closet. So if we have a walk-in closet, then we're done.
Enough.
Then we're done.
Cool. To see when it is enough for our next guest, Helen, we're going to the segment Pop Pals. Because when materialism can seem to be the standard, our next guest can prove actually to be the exception. Can we do more with less? After the commercials, we will go into the facts of minimalism.
Minimalism explained. In the past, there were various examples of minimalism, like Buddhist monks, Catholic nuns, trends in art and music, and more recently in home design and architecture. Nowadays, minimalism has become a lifestyle for many. However, not many are aware of what minimalism actually is. Minimalism is a tool to help you get rid of the unnecessary overload. Minimalism offers a life with less stress, less distraction, more freedom, and more time. Minimalism is also beneficial for the environment by producing less waste. That doesn't mean there's anything wrong with owning material possessions. It is about getting rid of a huge amount of your material possessions. And even though that may seem like you're losing a part of you, it's just a step in finding yourself. When the reduced overload does not distract you anymore, the most enlightening and radical self-discovery takes place. Minimalism simply allows you to make decisions concerning possessions more consciously and gives you a feeling of freedom with more passion in life.
And it was indeed a passion for doing less with more. Sorry, for doing more with less. There we go, don't want to mess that up. That inspired actually our next guest, Helen, to become the chief editor of GNOOG. So welcome back to Time Tripping, everyone, and welcome, Helen, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, it's a pleasure.
And my first question for you is actually, what is your mission with GNOOG? What are you trying to do with it?
Well, I try to reach as many people as possible with this mission. Actually, to do more with less.
Okay.
Yeah.
And as you advocate for that, what inspired you to actually to GNOOG and to live this sort of lifestyle?
Yeah, well, it came with little bits in my life, but one of the great people who inspired me was Gandhi saying, there's enough for anyone's need, but not for everyone's greed. So it's especially this first sentences, there is enough. So we don't have to hurry so much to get everything we can, but we can rely on there's enough. So then we can look at sharing, at being happy, not so totally involved with getting more, and not living our lives as beautiful as it can be.
And what's interesting to me, because that sounds like a beautiful lifestyle, but I'm interested, how did your lifestyle from before incorporating this, what change occurred?
Yeah, well, there were life-changing events, like losing one of my. I'm a graphic designer as well, so I had a nice job designing, and suddenly this job left. So then I had to decide whether I wanted to go on with my life with 20 hours working a day, or decide to look at a different way, and together with my husband and my family, to have a look if we could do with less money. That was the first step.
And what's interesting is also that I'm somehow noticing also a wealth gap. You know, there's a lot of rich people and a lot of people with not so much money. So sometimes I also wonder, like maybe when people end up with a situation like yours, is minimalism then a choice, or are people like forced to go into such a lifestyle?
I'm not talking about the people who are forced to do with less, because it is a total other situation. So now we're talking in minimalism, we have a choice to do it. And when you don't have a choice, then sometimes people experience that their lives improve. But I'm not talking about situations that people don't have the money to feed their children, etc. Because that's a totally different situation.
Indeed.
We could do a show on that.
Yeah. And what's also interesting is you call, the magazine is called Enough. So I would like to ask the same question to you. When is enough actually enough?
Well, it's not a static situation, because it's in your life you are finding your balance every time, again and again. So what's enough now with this beer in front of me could be not enough tomorrow, but it's more like being aware when it's enough. So with all you have.
And so as this episode takes to the topic of the 80s, we would actually like to show you a little video of students reacting to 80s gadgets. Let's see their reactions.
So this is a Walkman. Ah, Jesus. This one's really old though.
David Bowie, let's dance.
How do I turn this on? This is play.
Damn, it's a lot of noise though.
The quality is really different from today's music.
It's better than I expected.
And no, I don't think I would go back, because it's just more convenient nowadays.
How technology has developed.
Looks really heavy.
Wow, this is heavier than the last one.
Oh, that's awesome.
This is beautiful. I hope. I'm not sure. Because you can't see it immediately, which is really frustrating.
Not even my parents said something like this.
Nostalgia, huh? Millennials, our problem.
Can I bring this home? Maybe? Sell it or something?
Well, actually, we have brought those gadgets the students reacted to here in the studio. We have them now. And so I'm actually curious, did you have any of those gadgets when you were in the 80s?
Yeah, I definitely have one. So my Rolleiflex camera, analog. So I love it, but I don't use it anymore. So it's nostalgia.
It's more, would you say this is like a symbol for the 80s?
Maybe it's definitely a symbol for me, for my life in the 70s and 80s. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I wonder if we can take a picture with it, like maybe a selfie.
Yeah, you could do that.
Well, maybe you have to set it first. Technology, right? Millennials.
You need a film in it as well.
True. And isn't that interesting? Now we have clicks and we immediately see the photo, but before we had to wait for it so long.
Yeah. We are moving fast forward.
Exactly. And speaking of the 80s, you were a young mother in the 80s. So I wonder, how was the lifestyle back then, especially when it came to consumer behavior and purchasing?
Yeah, well, I think we were a bit different from the huge crowd because we were like they call artists. So my husband is a musician and I'm a graphic designer. And so we were like, I call it a self-knitted family. So we made a lot of things ourselves, making bread, etc. So it could be a bit like the hippie lifestyle of the 70s. We're moving into the 80s. But I saw in my environment very many people becoming used to many things. So they bought cars and televisions, etc. And they went on holiday 2 or 3 times a year. And they acted like it was common. So I think that was a movement in the 80s that people were like common to luxury.
And how would you say the situation is now? Has it changed a lot since the 80s?
I think so. I think we are so wealthy that it is like people talking about it as it's our right to have so many things. And when you don't have many things, then you are like, it's not fair.
Well, thank you so much for this discussion. And if you want to know more about Helen, minimalism, and her magazine Genoeg, please make sure to visit our website, timetripping.com. Now, we go to commercial, and afterwards, we'll be back with our guests to break the bread and see how the lifestyles of minimalism and materialism can exist together.
Welcome back to Time Trippin. Before the commercial, we have spoken to our 2 guests who have now joined us at the table. And we talked about the topics of materialism, which was rising in the 80s, and the rising tendency of doing more with less that is so apparent now.
So let's see if we can find common ground between these 2 lifestyles. But before we do that, should we break the bread?
Yeah, of course. Well,
okay, are you ready? Wait for it. Ah!
But that doesn't really seem fair, does it?
Well, you did say less is more, right?
Well, okay, thanks. Well, let's first go back to actually the question we asked our audience in the beginning. Do you 2 think that the society is more materialistic nowadays? Denzil?
I think so. I think so, yeah, a little bit. Because if you look at the youth, like I was telling you like a couple of minutes ago, it's the social media is changing everybody's mind, like brainwashing everybody to think that you need these kind of things to be happy, and it's not like that.
And Helen?
Well, I think there's a growing amount of people, especially younger people, who are rethinking this lifestyle again. So when you see the researching lifestyles in the Netherlands each year, and so then you see that 32% of the people answering say we want to do more with less. And a large amount of this 32% are younger people. And maybe they don't change their lifestyle totally. So they like their iPhone and they like their special things, but they want to go, for example, without a car of their own or a house of their own, or many other things, or not eating so much flesh anymore. So it's not extremist change of lifestyle, but in certain ways. And I think that's building up. We can see it at Genoeg, and that people becoming younger, interesting in the features we bring.
Indeed, the young generation is making sort of a change. And so to get to know, so you can get to know each other better, we have prepared a few questions for you.
No problem.
They're a bit faster. So if you had to describe yourself with 3 things you own, which are those things?
You can go first.
When I describe myself owning, then I would say I have a huge amount of painting materials and materials to express myself. That are the main things in possessing that I won't like to lose. So I also have a car, but I can lose that. But my art materials are most loved things.
And Denzil, for you?
Okay, let me think. I got a home studio, so my music is so important. My clothes, my fashion, and yeah, that's actually that. I don't have 3 things to say.
Well, less is more, right?
Yeah, exactly.
What is then the best gift you have ever received?
Best gift? Whoa, that's a good one. Let me think. Oh yeah. Okay, my mother passed when I was younger, the day after Christmas, and my friends know that. So they bought me like a PlayStation for that day to make me happy, so I don't think about my mom. So that was super sweet by my friends. Yeah. Super sweet.
What about you, Helen?
Well, I can't think of any material thing, but the best gifts are my 3 children.
Indeed, the gift of people. The next question is, okay, imagine you have an income shortage, you lose your job. What is the first thing you would cut off in order to save money?
I don't know if I can say it on TV, but like smoking weed. Yeah. I would stop. I would like, instead of like 10 euros, I would get like 5 euros. Like.
That's a smart one.
Quit my credit card. I did already, but I have still one for some occasions, credit cards. Well, I did a lot. So I skipped, for example, going out for dinner, and then instead of that, I made dinner for my friends.
Okay.
That kind of things.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't go on holiday. Stay at home and do nice things. Yeah.
Well, we actually went to the streets to ask people what their outfits cost. So let's see how they handle that situation with clothing in regards to spending money. Today, we're hitting the streets of Breda to find out what people think materialism is, and if we can determine whether they're materialistic by the clothes they wear. Let's see. Hi, could you introduce yourselves?
My name is Sander. I'm a hairdresser here in Breda.
And my name is Joel, and I'm not a hairdresser.
Hi, I'm Eva. I'm 19 years old.
My name is Desiree.
My name is Curry.
Do you know what materialism is?
It's like how much you care about your stuff, or you don't like your stuff.
And you guys look very stylish. And do you know how much your clothes cost?
This is for free.
Yeah, this t-shirt was 15 euros, pants was 25 euros, shoes were 65, and the jacket was 25.
The jacket I'm wearing was 140 euros. The t-shirt is for my work actually, so I don't know how much it costs. The pants are 120 euros and the shoes 220. So quite expensive outfit today, I would say.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.
Well, the thing that specifically grabbed my attention is that people are a bit scared of using the word materialistic.
Yeah, I felt that as well. And I think I want to turn the question to our guest as well. Why do you think people are so afraid of the word materialism and being called materialistic?
I'm going to give it to you again.
Well, I think there's a negative connotation with materialist as being not spiritual aware, for example.
Okay.
Or at the surface of things and not thinking properly, and also maybe like unfair. No, people know that it must be unfair compared to others who have nothing. So that's, I think, the negative thing of materialist.
Also, one of the people I interviewed, they also said that materialism is actually the opposite of being sort of spiritual.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be.
It doesn't.
It's not black and white.
Exactly.
No.
What about you, Denzil? What do you think?
I just think I can speak for myself. It's like the label. I don't like the label. Like if you say you're like materialistic, it's like you would like rather buy a Gucci belt instead of make sure that your family's okay or something like that. So if I just hear that word like materialistic, I'm like, nah. But if I look like what you say, like you got a lot of clothes at home, me too. So like, I don't know how it fits, but
maybe you could say you could be a positive materialist. So really love what you have.
Yeah.
Because we have an electric car. We are like we won the lottery, because we are so proud to have an electric car and use it and being a bit less environment unfriendly.
And shortly, could you live the lifestyle of the other person?
I would.
Yeah?
Oh, well, I like to learn forever.
I can do a few too. No problem.
You can do it loud.
Oh, enough.
We can make a banger.
Well, thank you so much for the discussion. We would actually like to turn another question to the audience, I think.
Yeah, because after everything we heard, we're thinking from all the stories, which trend should we follow for in the future? So should it be materialistic or minimalistic? So if you pick the green side, you say, okay, go for materialistic, and for the purple side, we say minimalistic. So let's count down again. 3, 2, 1. Ooh, it's very mixed, actually. That's interesting. Well, let's see how the girl in the blue sweater thinks about it this time.
Well, I think when I think back about it, I am a bit materialistic because I do have a lot of clothing. I don't spend that much money, but I always see something and I'm like, yeah, I want that, I like that, and buying things makes me happy, so everybody should buy what makes them happy, and then everybody's happy, right?
So for the future, materialistic?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, so we'll stay in the material world, and I will stay a material girl.
And I will stay material girl as well.
Okay, cool. Well, let me ask you, Mario. Have you actually changed your mind after this episode? What do you think?
Well, I wouldn't call myself a material girl, but I do think I would maybe get rid of 1 or 2 jackets in the coming days.
So, what if I come by next week? We go watch Marie Kondo, and then we go search for your closet, and what finds you, you spark some joy.
It's a plan.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, everyone. And with that, we would actually like to conclude Time Tripping, because this was the last episode. So throughout our exploration in the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s, we hope we actually open your perspectives into some of the main topics that these decades explored.
And together with our host Marietta, it was an absolute pleasure to present this show Time Trippin' to you. And as we're almost at the end of our decade, we would like to leave you with one last message. Take the lessons from the past and make your 2020 valuable. Thanks for watching. Have a great evening.